From the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for High Velocity Radio.
And welcome back to High Velocity Radio. My name is Joshua Kornitsky. I am a professional EOS implementer and your host here today. And I've got an incredible guest here with me in the studio. My guest is Kim Harrington. Kim's a leadership professional and CEO and founder of H10 Enterprises. His perspective on leadership is shaped by the environments where accountability matters and the decisions carry real consequences. Kim brings a practical, people-centered approach to developing leaders at every level, and his work emphasizes clarity, service, and personal ownership. Welcome, Kim. It's truly a joy to have you here, and I can't wait to learn more about how you help people.
Yeah, man. Listen, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. The weather that we're dealing with right now is a little suspect. However, we're in the South. We're in Atlanta, so just wait.
Just wait time.
Wait 3 days. It'll change anyway.
Would you slide the mic just a little bit closer to you just to make sure we get your voice? Thank you. So let's begin at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to the place where you're able to make this type of an impact.
Wow. I love that question. So up until 2005, I would not have shared this information with anyone.
Okay.
And so I was actually born to a heroin addicted mother.
Okay.
And a career criminal father.
Okay.
So by the time I was born, my father had already spent half his life in prison.
Wow.
And because of that, I was raised in 5 foster homes and 3 group homes in New York City. And so I believe that all of us as leaders, we bring a unique perspective based on our belief window that we're looking through. A guy named Hiram Smith would talk about the belief window, and it's basically how you've gone through your life.
Okay.
And so those formative years dealing with abandonment, neglect, people being mean to you, not supporting you, has been a true driver in my life. And obviously there were people periodically that made a significant difference, teachers and mentors that did pour into me that I do appreciate and remember those vivid moments in time.
And but it had to have been a hard way to grow up.
Oh, 100%, 100%. But you know, when you're in the blender and it's on and you're moving around,
right,
you don't notice it as much until you get out of the blender.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You don't know how hard it is because you have nothing to compare it to. It's your life.
There you go. It's your life. And so I went to Marine Corps when I was 17. This was 1978.
Okay.
And so that's only 3 years removed from the end of the Vietnam War.
Yep.
And so there weren't long lines at the recruiting stations.
No, I imagine not.
There you go. In fact, it was the reverse of that, where people, our military was treated much different back then, much different in shameful ways. Because anybody that's in the military or served in the military after January of 1973, post-conscription, did it on a voluntary basis. So it wasn't mandatory that people served. There was no draft.
Right.
And so you think about the sacrifice of those men and women that served in the military post-conscription.
All the way to now.
All the way till now, and their families, because their families are involved in this as well. So I would just say the best decision, Joshua, I ever made in my entire life was enlisting in the United States Marine Corps. The Marine Corps took me from a life of no direction to a life of absolute direction. It taught me how to be a man, how to stand tall, be proud, honor, integrity, loyalty, all those things. And to more than that, it took me from a place of being by myself,
right,
feeling like I was on an island, to being part of something bigger than myself, being part of a team with the ultimate goal of accomplishing the mission, regardless of race, creed, color. Didn't matter about anything other than the mission.
So I want to ask you about that. Yeah. And first, of course, thank you for your service. But the part of that that's a mystery to those of us who have never been in the military, right? Your words, they made you into a man. They taught you the discipline. They taught you how to make sure that the mission gets completed. And I presume that in a post-military career, the mission still is whatever the current focus is. So how does that happen? Because it can't, most of us, I'm sorry to say, have particularly our view of the military But specifically the Marines, there's a handful of movies that tell us how Marines are made. And while I'm sure there may be some elements of truth, because after all, Arlie Emery was a Marine drill sergeant.
Yes, he was.
And he got that job as he was the advisor to the actor, and the actor was so bad, he got the job.
100%. Full Metal Jacket.
And good for him. He made a career out of it.
That's right.
Most of us probably have a pretty convoluted understanding of what that looks like.
Yeah.
So can you help somebody from the outside of that universe understand what, at a high level, that transition looks like? How do you even find that path?
Yeah. So that's a fantastic question, by the way. And I'll share with you why I think that's a fantastic question. So I never had the intention of going in the military. It kind of happened. I was walking out of a McDonald's on Jamaica Avenue in Queens.
Okay.
The F train was passing by above, and if you've ever been under an elevated train before, it is significant. It rattles your body. You can't hear anything. And at that same time, I was passing by a glass door, and there was a gold seal on it that said Armed Forces of the United States of America.
Okay.
And something simply just drew me to that door. And I opened it, and I went in there. I eventually made it through the Army recruiter, the Navy recruiter, the Air Force recruiter, and ended up in the doorway of the Marine Corps recruiter. And his words to me were, "Come on in, young man. It's okay." And then he put that video in. It says, "Are you up for the challenge? Are you up to being a Marine?" And it really showed and displayed something that was completely foreign to me.
I can only imagine.
Completely foreign. I would say the only consistent team type of event or organization was Little League Baseball.
Okay.
Little League, you play Little League Baseball.
Little gap between Little League and the Marine Corps, I'm guessing.
100%. 100%. But I did take that step. I said, I am up for it. And then there's a lot of stories that go along with this, but I was 17, I wasn't 18.
So you couldn't actually join?
I couldn't actually join. He said back then, I don't know if they still do it or not, but he said, you have to have a parent sign for you. And I said, no problem. And I'm thinking my foster parent.
Right.
And he said, no, you need a biological parent. And I said, well, that's not going to happen.
Right.
And he said, what's her name? And I said, Beverly Wheeler. He said, give me some time. And so this is 1978. We didn't have any technology whatsoever. I mean, if you wanted to study something, you had to go to the library.
Right.
And so no cell phones. Within 1 week, the phone rang at the house. He said, I found her. She said she'll sign for you.
Wow.
So now, of course, now she signed for me. Now I'm on a bus going to boot camp. And I have no clue about anything that you just asked me about. What's the difference between that transition from civilian life to military life?
Well, and even all joking aside, all the common references I just cited don't yet exist.
There you go.
The Marines stormed the beach at Iwo Jima.
There you
go. Beyond that, unless you had a military family, you probably didn't know anything.
Nothing. And so the Marine Corps is so different and so unique. There is a reason for everything. There are 13 stars on every button, 13 original colonies.
Okay.
There are 7 belt loops on every single pair of Marine Corps trousers, the 7 C's. And so there's a reason for the way your pants hit your shoe has to be at a certain angle on every single Marine Corps uniform. There is attention to detail that is off the charts. The ribbons that you wear have to be 1/8 of an inch above the top of your pocket.
Okay.
This is made up stuff. That stuff is made up because they want you to pay attention to detail. Because when they give you a coordinate, if it's 75 degrees, they want it to be 75 degrees, not 74 and not 76.
Right.
Because you have to be accurate. And so in boot camp, I was a complete follower. As you think about this as a 17-year-old, I'm not 25, and there were some older people there, but I'm 17, and I don't even know who I am at this point. And so I'm a complete follower. You follow instructions, you follow direction, and you make the best of your situation. And there were a lot of people that obviously wanted to give up while they're in there, but the drill instructors, although they were like Full Metal Jacket,
right,
they were there to help support you and build you up after they break you down, and to create those fighting machines, basically, is what we are as a Marine.
Right.
And so I would say the main thing about the military, specifically the Marine Corps, is that it gives you so much courage, you have so much pride in yourself and your fellow Marines that you will go through the fire for them without hesitation.
So it's not just confidence, it's bonding. And does that translate to today? If you meet someone who was a Marine, you still have that connection.
So Joshua, listen, there's this, once again, unique thing about the Marine Corps. If you find out someone is a Marine, it's like you've known each other your entire life. And my wife served in the Army, so it does not happen with any other branch of the military. But with the Marine Corps, you find out someone's a Marine, the first thing you're going to say is Semper Fi, Devil Dog. So Semper Fi means always faithful.
Yep.
And Devil Dog is just kind of a nickname for Marines.
Okay.
There's Devil Dog, there's Leatherneck, there's Jarhead. But typically
I've heard them all.
There you go. But this could be a Marine from, I could talk to a Marine from the Korean War.
Right.
And I served there was no conflicts in the world when I served. There was Grenada and there was the hostage crisis in Iran. That's it. So, but I can talk to someone from the Korean War. I could talk to someone from Iraq or Iran, and immediately there's a brotherhood or a sisterhood between Marines.
Okay.
That is unlike any other branch in the world.
So let's go back. You're 17, maybe 18 now, right? First of all, how long were you in active duty?
6 years.
Okay, so you were there. You were there till you were the literal definition of a man.
100%.
You get through boot camp. What happens? When you graduate.
So in all the military branches, you take an ASVAB test. It's an aptitude test before you get in there. Based on your scores, you are going to probably get placement in a certain military occupational specialty based on your scores. My scores were low. So I was an infantryman. Every single Marine is an infantryman. I don't care if you're a 4-star general or buck private, you all go into it, you're a rifleman. So my MOS upon graduating from boot camp was a machine gunner.
Okay.
So the life expectancy for a machine gunner.
Probably not great.
No. So when you hit the beach and you're a machine gunner, your life expectancy is 7 seconds or less. The only person that they target before that is the radio man, where they have a life expectancy of 2 seconds. So you graduate from boot camp, then you go to your infantry training school. My specialty was a machine gun. So I learned how to shoot an M60 machine gun. I don't believe they have those anymore. But you learn how to do every single thing possible with the nomenclature of a machine gun, how to break it down, how to put it together, blindfolded, how to do it with one hand, your offhand, and how to do it with the other hand, how to understand how to shoot the weapon. And when you're a machine gunner, you're in a weapons platoon. When you're a weapons platoon, you have teams. So when you're the machine gunner, you have other people. You have an ammo bearer
that are supporting the role you're filling.
My role.
Gotcha.
And so if the machine gun weighs 29 pounds. 29 pounds is nothing if you're going a mile. But 29 pounds going 25 miles is super heavy. Now imagine being an ammo bearer and you have to carry those cans of ammunition, which weighs a whole lot more than 29 pounds.
Sure.
So it's just a team effort. There's other things with the machine gun that takes a team effort. Once you shoot a certain amount of rounds out of an M60 machine gun, the barrel is literally on fire.
It's got to cool down.
It has to cool down. But you have your team member with an asbestos glove. They'll take it off so they don't get burned, and they'll put another barrel on.
Didn't know that.
You're rotating. You're going. You're not stopping because, my barrel's off. I got to take a break. Everything is related to combat. And so and one thing that I would say that's super different in the military than the civilian world, I'll just call it the civilian world, is that camaraderie and teamwork. It is unmatched, and especially the Marine Corps. It is unmatched, unrivaled. And I don't believe, you never say never, never say always.
Sure.
I don't believe it can be replicated in the civilian world.
It rather than argue because no one can know for sure. To your point, I understand exactly what you mean by that, because for literally comparison's sake, the expression tends to be, having gone through combat together, right?
Yes.
That's the common nomenclature for explaining a bonding situation, trial by fire.
Yes.
Well, that fire is probably not a fire pit. Right? So it's become our standard. So
Yes.
you emerged from this life, and what happened to you?
So once you reach a certain point in the Marine Corps, there's and once again, like just much like any company out here, when people change companies or change roles,
Right.
there are things that happen in the military that will either keep you in there or kind of say, "Hey, maybe it's time to look somewhere else."
Right.
And so my changing point was that I wanted to be a drill instructor.
So you're looking for the easy way out.
But I
Right.
was the model Marine.
Well, it's a desire to help,
Oh my
really.
god.
I mean,
Yes.
all stereotype of that role aside, that role, as you yourself said, is a supporting role to make better Marines.
Yes. Yes,
That's a pretty good aspiration.
oh my god, and your drill instructors are you'll remember for the rest of your life, first of all, but they are the most squared away, knowledgeable people on the planet to you
Right.
when you're going through that. They are your mother, they're your father, they're looking out for your health, your well-being. They are guiding you through the process all the way from the very beginning until the very end. And you know they have your best interests at heart. And it is super hard. They have an FU file where they mess with you for no reason whatsoever just to see how you respond. Do you elevate or do you crumple?
Right.
One of
If you're
the
building soldiers, you kinda need to know that.
absolutely. One of the things that that bothered me the most was something as innocuous as them saying 2 sheets and a blanket, get online. And all that meant was you're gonna strip down your rack, you're gonna hold 2 sheets and a blanket with your pillowcase in your mouth. Everybody's online, and they say, "You've got 2 minutes to make your racks move." That's not a lot of time. And you're talking about making your rack with a 6-inch fold and
Right.
all the other things, box corners. There's always gonna be someone slow, always. And they're gonna say, "Oh, I see we're not finished." And they would do this for hours. I'm not talking about 20 minutes,
Right.
but for a couple of hours, you'd have to get to it. And, by the time you're done, you're looking at that slow person like, "Hey, man." And they want you to do that. They're encouraging you to be a unit, and you're gonna be only as good as the weakest link, and you
Sure.
have to lift them up, and that's what it's all about.
So how did you well, so when you made the decision, did you become a drill sergeant?
I did not.
You did not.
So, they said that I had to spend more time in my primary MOS. So, my first couple of years, I was on barracks duty in Yokosuka, Japan.
Okay.
So, if you talk to any Marine, they're gonna say barracks duty is pretty cake. It's pretty you're an MP basically somewhere, and I was an MP on a Navy base. There were 60 Marines on the basically is the command of the 7th Fleet for the
Okay.
Navy. 60 Marines on a base full of sailors. And so, it is easy duty, but it is hard duty because you're a military policeman and you're dealing with the adverse conditions of everybody.
Right.
And so I did that for 2 years, then I was a machine gunner for a year, and then I put in for the drill field, and they said I had only spent 1 year as a machine gunner. So I need to spend more time there. So basically what happened was I just got a new MOS, and I worked at a military prison for 3 years.
Okay.
Now, I can share with you this, that the whole thing about not judging a book by its cover is 100% true, because you really see people that have been fully adjudicated after they did their crime, and now they're serving their sentence, their consequences. And if I were just to look at somebody, I couldn't say what they did or what they didn't do.
Sure.
And there were people in there with some horrific, horrific crimes that they committed, and I would have never guessed in a million years that they would have done that because of their demeanor, their disposition, the way they communicated. And you find out what they did, and you're like, "Oh my goodness."
Right.
And so that helped me a great
That's
deal.
a huge lesson.
Oh my listen, Joshua, that helped me a great deal because once I got out the Marine Corps, I was a California Highway Patrol officer.
Yes. That's you're jumping to the next phase of the story,
Yes.
but that's where we're headed.
Yes.
So now and it's funny you mention I'm involved with a leadership committee in Bartow County, and I know
Yeah.
Chief Jody Matthews, the chief of the U Harley Police Department, and as part of the committee that I was on, we got to see the police simulation that they use.
Yes.
One of many, and one of the scenes that the officers go through is just this helpless woman who just needs your help because somebody took her whatever. And it's a very interesting thing as an outsider to observe, because as soon as you turn, she kills you.
Of course.
But to all normal eyes, this was a person in need and a person asking you for help.
Right.
So now I understand exactly why that would tie in, where you learn not to judge that book by its cover.
Yeah.
So now you're in California and you're
Yes.
a highway patrolman.
Yes.
Where do we go from here?
Well, so when you're in the military, first of all, it's almost a natural transition to go in some type of
Law enforcement. Sure.
It just is,
Well,
especially
because you're disciplined.
and plus if you have, like, I was an MP for 2 years and I worked in the prison for 3
Right.
years. So it's almost natural. And so I applied at 3 different departments. Orange County Sheriff's Department, LAPD, and the California Highway Patrol. And I got accepted at all 3.
Oh, wow.
But then I had a conversation with someone. They said, "Hey, man, do you want to be chasing someone down in an alley when you're such and such age?" I'm like, I don't know about that. So I felt that the California Highway Patrol would be best suited for me and my skill set.
Well, and based on the timing, chips should have been very popular then.
I was very popular. I was a chocolate chip. and so, but the training also, those 3 departments have robust, fantastic training. Most departments, if you really did a survey,
Mhm.
Woodstock PD or anybody else like that, they don't have a robust academy that they may attend. A lot of times they may go through community college and take some courses, and then they'll have some type of academy training, but it's not extensive. So the California Highway Patrol training is a live-in 21-week program.
Wow. So you got to go to a different boot camp.
Got to go to a different boot camp. And the attrition rate, 50%.
Wow.
Which is super high. There are a lot of challenges there that a lot of people don't know about. But the first thing is that the attrition rate was 50%. We started with 140 cadets and we graduated 70.
Wow.
You have an opportunity. There's tests all the time. They're basically cramming in, I would say, 2 years worth of an education into those 6 months, 5.5 months. So there's a lot of exams after you get the education. And so you have an opportunity to take a test. If you fail it and you do not pass it on the retake, you're gone. The minimum score to pass it is 70.
Wow.
If you
I mean,
take it,
high standard, but the outcome is the best of the best, right?
absolutely, absolutely. And the other part of that is you can fail 2 exams, retake them, pass them, you're still good. If you fail a third one, you're gone.
Okay.
And so there's a very high standard. There's daily PT, physical.
That must have, did it appeal to you? Because it sounds like, coming from where you were coming from, you were used to maintaining a standard.
Yes. However, there's always wake-up calls in life.
Sure.
And that very first exam I took, I got a 71. And I did see other people fail the exam. And I saw other people fail the exam and not pass the retake, and they were gone. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't be gone.
Right.
This is everything I have right now. I've put everything in here, so I cannot fail at this. And so it was a wake-up call, which was a great wake-up call.
Better early than late.
Better early than late.
So obviously you must have made it through the academy.
I did.
And how long did you stay with the California Highway Patrol?
16 years.
Oh, wow.
So, and I retired from an injury, so I would have still stayed there. And so 16 years, the academy's in West Sacramento in California. Then you have your first duty station, and you have a choice. There's a list, and you put in for it, and then based on everything that's involved there, they basically go where they send you.
Right.
And so my first duty station was Santa Cruz, California. I don't know if you're familiar with Santa Cruz.
I'm not. That's why.
So Santa Cruz is a beautiful area of California. It is 90 miles south of San Francisco on the coast.
Oh, okay.
It is about 35 miles north of Monterey, California. And it's probably 35 miles over the hill from San Jose, California. So this is an affluent area. It's a beautiful area, but I was young. So 23 years old as a California Highway Patrol officer, which was a benefit, but it was also a kind of a drawback because I didn't know what I didn't know. Still, you're young. You don't know that. You're 23 and you're doing a job. You're enforcing the laws of the state of California. You're part of an allied community, which means that we are supporting the sheriff's department, the police departments, other governmental agencies. They're supporting us. This is Santa Cruz County is the second smallest county in California.
So you must have been bored.
No, wasn't bored, but it was not the activity of a city like San Francisco
Sure.
or Los Angeles or San Diego, but there's always activity. Everywhere you go, people say, well, there can't possibly be a bad area. There's a bad area everywhere that you go, even here in Woodstock.
Well, there are bad people that make the area
absolutely
bad.
And there's alcohol everywhere.
That'll do it.
You think about people being under the influence and making decisions that they would not normally make if they were sober.
Right. Well, Lord knows no one ever makes a bad decision. Certainly not when alcohol's in the picture.
That's right.
So 16 years and were you injured in the line of duty?
Yes.
Or is that something you'll talk about?
Of course.
Okay.
I'm an open book. So I had been injured several times on the job. But the last incident that did me in was a collision.
Okay.
And most people on the highway patrol, you're exposed to extreme speeds with cars. If you really think about it from a fundamental point of view, let's say that someone is going 80 miles an hour and they just zoom by me. How fast do I have to go to catch up to them to initiate an enforcement stop?
Right. There's an acceleration curve where you've got to be going about 110 to get there.
That's exactly right. The roads that we travel on are not racetracks, which means they're not designed like a racetrack. If there's not going to be a pebble on a racetrack, they're going to make sure everything's removed from the racetracks because it's so safe. There are roads in our country that we'll call it the super elevation is going the wrong way. If I'm trying to make a turn to the left and it's leaning that way, that's not good.
Right.
But there are roads designed like that for whatever reason, or that's the end
or
result
for drainage or whatever.
Exactly right. And so it's you have to be super familiar with your environment if you are in that role. And so there's California, they call it the land of the pursuits. In 16 years, I would say on average, I would be in 10 pursuits a year.
Wow.
A year.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. There's some people that will go their whole career without being in one pursuit in different departments.
And you had 150 of them.
At least. And there are times where you are the passenger in the car during a pursuit or you're the driver. And once again, you are relying on the other person to do everything possible to achieve the goals. I'm relying on the person driving the car that they've gone through the same training that I've gone through, and they're going to be diligent following all the rules that we follow to make sure we stay safe. I stay safe.
Right. That's crazy. So obviously there was an accident of some sort.
There was an accident, and it's just weird how people, the news, how they present information. So this was we were backing another officer up. He was on a traffic stop. The vehicle came back as stolen. There were two people in the vehicle. They were making furtive movements. They were moving around. He called for some backup. So we're flying there to back him up. The other officer said, hey, make sure you turn, it's nighttime. He said, make sure you turn your lights off so you don't silhouette me to the people in front.
Right.
And so we turn our lights off, but once you turn your lights off, your depth perception's off. We ended up, long story short, my partner ended up running into the back of the other patrol car. And it was a devastating collision. My knees broke up the dashboard. Everything is just, there was a helicopter overhead. There was smoke up in the air.
Wow.
And the only memory I had up to that point was the other officer running by, and I saw highway patrol in the back of the other car. And then collision, and then you're like, come back to your senses. So the press said that a drunk driver had run into the back of a highway patrol car on the freeway. And I was like, that's interesting. I was there and I don't remember that. But
right.
But so that was the last one that did me, and I think I was 40 years old at the time, and my wife said, "Hey, how much longer are you going to do this?" Because it's not just about me like this getting in a car, it's me putting on 20 pounds of equipment, me wearing a duty belt that has handcuffs in the back, and now I'm not sitting in a seat the same way I would if I didn't have anything on.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors involved with your safety and how are you going. I mean, am I gonna run after somebody at this point where, I had knee surgery and then my back was messed up? How safe can I be?
Right. And never mind protecting and serving the people of the community, it's just your ability at that point to function as a normal human being.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what did you decide to do? You've been a Marine, you've been a
Yes.
highway patrolman. You decided it was time to put your feet up?
No. So the cool thing about, California, and specifically the state, is if you get injured on the job, they have something called 4,800 time. And so 4,800 time basically is you have a year to obtain vocational training for the next whatever the next is.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. Not only that, during that year, you're getting full pay, tax-free,
That's gotta be life-changing.
life-changing. And so, the first thing I did was I took a couple months off. And then I had a friend that worked at a gym. And he was just working at the gym, he was doing his thing, very nice guy. He was even a bodybuilder at one point in time. Then all of a sudden, one day, things switched for him, and he went from working at the gym to driving an $80,000 car and wearing $800 suits.
Okay.
And I said, "Dude, what happened?" He said, "I got my real estate license." And so he was a real estate agent, and he started to become successful. And he had been doing it back then, I just didn't know it.
Right.
And the first thought was, if that guy can do it, I can do it.
Right.
And so I got my real estate license. I used that time to get into real estate. And there are certain organizations, certain industries that there are companies that are really good at onboarding, really good at training. And so back then it was Coldwell Banker, there's Keller Williams now. There's companies that really invest in their people
Absolutely.
with training, which everybody should do, by the way.
I agree. As
Everybody
a
should do that.
leadership team trainer, I agree.
Yes. So I did that for a year in California. And then our family dynamics, we needed to move out of California because one of my kids needed a change of environment.
Okay.
So we got on a computer. There was nothing keeping us in California. So we looked at areas with great schools and parent friendly. So there were two locations, believe it or not, after all that intense searching, two places came up. One was a location just north of Orlando.
Okay.
The other one was right here in Georgia in East Cobb. And so we said, well, Florida's probably a little bit like California, so we're going to pick Georgia. I didn't know one person here, and I went from a 100% commission job to a 100% commission job.
And roughly what year was this?
This was 2 months before September 11th.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't think much of it then. We had sold our house. We had some proceeds, not a lot. We had 2 vehicles, kids, a couple of dogs, and we caravan across the country to go to Georgia. And obviously, my wife and I already found a place here, but that's a risk.
Yes.
And
Yes,
I didn't view it that way then, but years later, when my best friend in the world, he talked to me about it. He said, "Man, I really admired you for that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then he really explained it to me that
It was just your next step in your head.
it was just my next step.
So you're here now. You're a real estate agent.
Yes.
And I assume you have some measure of success.
Yes. However,
Man, there always seems to be a however.
there's always a however. So this is, you think about 2001, and so this was the time of the dot-com era.
I remember it well.
There you go. And then so now we have this thing called the dot-com bubble. And that bubble was bursting.
Yep.
The entire time I was there doing real estate, and it finally burst. If you were a real estate agent, life was not good for you. If you were a lender, life was fantastic for some reason. And it seems to be that way sometimes. But so the bubble finally burst. You don't spend your money before you have it.
Yep.
However, my wife made plans. We started putting things on credit cards, and I had 2 deals not close. So I was in a bind because of that, extra debt that I wasn't counting on, and at the same time, I was being recruited to work at a financial services firm, a company called Home Bank here in the Southeast, which was a phenomenal company. It is probably one of the top 3 companies I've ever worked for in my entire life.
That's great.
Fantastic culture, great people. We were on Fortune Magazine's Best 100 Companies to Work For all 4 years I was there. In 2007, when we closed our doors, we were ranked 14th on Fortune Magazine's Best 100 Companies to Work For.
Wow.
The only reason why we weren't higher was because we didn't have on-site daycare. And the CEO of the company, which is an amazing man, Pat Flood, he said, if we can definitely have on-site childcare here, but we can't have it in Tennessee, we can't have it in Florida, and we can't have it in North Carolina. So if they can't have it, then we're just not going to have it as a company.
Right. Okay. So again, you've now reinvented yourself for the 4th time.
Yes,
and that doesn't count the little ones in between,
that's right.
right? So now, you said they closed doors. What did you do next?
Well, it was a wake-up call too. And the reason why it was a wake-up call was, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I literally thought I was going to retire there. I did. Absolutely. I was
Until the rug got pulled out. It
Until
was
the rug-
great.
I was 46 years old at that time. And I said, well, this is it. I mean, everything's fantastic. I can be myself. I can flourish. I can advance. I can do great things here and help people at the same time. Because if you're a lender, it's all about helping people.
Yep.
It's all about helping people. And the other thing about that is that you're not offering anything tangible. They can't touch it. They can't feel it. It's not like you're selling a house.
Right.
And so there's a trust factor, and they really have to believe in you that you're going to deliver on everything that you're promising. And so the wake-up call was this. I had just taken over a territory in Tampa, Florida, relocated my family down there, and I had been down there maybe 6 months, and everything was going fantastic, I thought. And then on August 7th of 2007, they said, hey, we're closing our doors on August 10th.
Wow.
So 3 days notice, no one asked me, and I'm being dramatic, but no one asked me what I thought about it.
Right.
And obviously, it's business, right? I get it. I understand. But I felt like I got slighted. I felt like they were, I felt like I was that kid again in New York City that was being marginalized.
Well, and obviously they were seeing the writing on the wall because come 2008, the
Yes.
bottom dropped out.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing at that point?
Yes. And this is where,
So you're still in Tampa.
still in Tampa. And this is where life really changed for me. And I would say in a positive way too. And I've had a lot of things happen along the years that have been great. I've had some obviously challenges like everybody else.
Sure.
But this one thing said, hey, well, I got a family. I got to do what I got to do. And I wasn't going to get a job with another mortgage company because everybody was suffering.
Right.
And so I ended up doing basically freelance contract work for training and development companies.
Okay.
And so this is where H10 Enterprises was founded in 2008. But I would work for training and development companies, and I would call on large companies, mid-sized companies, small companies, get them excited about having me come in, do an assessment on their sales or service teams to see if we can increase costs. Increase profit or decrease costs,
Right.
and get people on the same sheet of music to make sure that everybody's productive and successful in the company. And the sweet spot were call centers. I would say 90% of these were call centers. And so if I was able to get on site, I had secured the business 75% of the time.
Wow.
75% of the time.
It's a hell of a closing rate.
It is a hell of a closing rate. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm not trying to be crass or anything, but most people do not know how to sell as a professional.
I would absolutely agree with that statement.
Yes, it's true.
And people have, and I see this quite often, people are embarrassed to ask for money for their goods or services.
Yes.
And I grew up in the car business. I don't have that affliction.
There you go.
But I completely agree with you. Now I have to ask at this point, because now you're interacting with various organizations and different teams. Does your military experience come into play here? Is there
Absolutely.
is there anything in your background that helps you make an impact in this space?
Yes. So, in the Marine first of all, the Marine Corps is a breeding ground for leaders.
I believe that.
There are 14 leadership traits inherent to every single United States Marine, whether you are a buck private or a four-star general.
14.
14. Everyone knows them. And so there's judgment, justice, decisiveness, integrity, dependability, tact, initiative, enthusiasm, bearing, the way you carry yourself, unselfishness, courage, knowledge, loyalty, and endurance.
There's gotta be an acronym in there.
JJ did tie buckle.
Is that how you remember it?
That's how you remember.
Okay.
And so
I mean, those are all incredibly admirable traits.
and they're portable. Obviously, they're useful in the military, but they're also useful not only in your professional civilian life, but in your personal life.
Absolutely, 100%.
In your personal life. And so the reason why the leadership traits are there in the Marine Corps is because it's next man up. If you really think about combat situations, part of combat is that someone is probably not going to go home with you.
Right.
And if it's let's say it's a lieutenant, the next person up, if the lieutenant's gone, is probably going to be a sergeant.
And they have to know what the standard is to step into.
Absolutely. There's no on-the-job training to be a leader in a Marine
In a combat
in a combat situation.
Right.
You're is next man up. You're going to get on the radio. You're going to do whatever it is because you're next man up. And so the portable skills of the 14 leadership traits are just it's who I am as a human being, first of all. And so the way I communicate on the phone, the way I secure business, the way I travel, the way I pack my bag, the way I show up at a job site, I'm going to be super squared away. I'm going to be very, very mindful of the way I communicate with the receptionist, the person keeping the place clean. All these people are super important to me in an authentic way, not in a, hey, I better say hi to this person. No,
Right.
I mean it honestly that this person is an integral part of that company. If I walked in that company and there was trash everywhere, what would be my impression of the company?
Trash.
Trash. If I walk in there and I can't understand what the receptionist is saying,
At the very least, frustration.
it's going to frustration. Right. And so there's a reason for everyone's role. And if everyone in the company appreciates everyone's participation as being part of the company, they flourish. It's when people have a superiority complex that there are challenges. And it could be leadership. It could be the top salespeople. It could literally be anybody. It could be the person, if they have a cafeteria serving the food and they think it's their kitchen and their food and you're going to do it. But they're impacting other people. So I want everybody to be mindful of that. But so when I show up to a job site, I'm there to learn. So of course you conduct effective discovery leading up to it. But even when you're there, I want to be a fly on the wall. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to meet with leadership and say, I'm here. Where you want me to go?
Right.
I'm going to introduce myself to the person. I'm saying, I'm invisible. I'm not going to ask you any questions. I'm just going to sit here if that's okay. And that's really the gist of it, is that I'm obtaining information. I'm getting data so I can put it in a proposal. And I might say, hey, listen, you guys are doing everything great. And that's it. More likely than not, I'm going to say, hey, there's areas where there's an opportunity for improvement.
And that's it. And I think that's an important distinction, right? It's not that they're doing something wrong. It's that there's always an area where there's opportunity for improvement. Always.
Yes.
No matter how well run an organization is, there's always a spot. In fact, we tell our clients that our goal is 100% achievement in all of the strengths in all the categories, but we accept that 80% is reality.
That's
because
right.
100%, even if you achieve it, is not sustainable over the long haul for anybody or anything. And I think that's a really important distinction. So in the work you're doing now,
Yes.
obviously you're still helping companies.
100%.
Where does, I'll get the acronym wrong. I'm just going to go.
JJ did tie buckle.
Where does this fit today?
Well, I would say that there are two that jump out at me. And the one that really jumps out at me is dependability. Because, you think about being credible. You have to being credible means that, I understand you. I understand, you as a CEO. I understand you as an, EVP of sales. I understand you, your operational, view of everyone in the company, and I understand your competition. I understand, these things may have factors outside factors on your business, whether it's current events or something else.
Sure.
So I understand. So I have to be credible with the information that I have that I'm gonna share with them. Sales is sales, by the way. Whether I'm selling a pen or I'm selling a mortgage, sales is sales. However, there are different, strategies, there are different processes in place, and the goal is to make them as effective as possible. Part of being dependable is being on time. We have this right here. I wanna be at least 10 minutes early.
Right.
I don't wanna show up at the time because that's not on time.
Right. Early is on time.
Early is on time.
Vince Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi. And just, having manners, understanding that, my goal right now, my company, my goal is to help everyone reach their full potential.
What are the types of organizations that you primarily work
So it doesn't matter.
with? Okay.
I've worked with Hewlett Packard. I've worked with companies like Carlton Bates, which is out of Little Rock, Arkansas, which they sell little widgets that I don't know how they make money off of. I've worked with a company called Corbis. Corbis is a comparable to Getty Images.
Okay.
So they obviously sell images and things like that. So it really doesn't matter the type of company. It matters the function of what I'm going to be there for. So I do keynote speeches, I do motivational speeches, but I also do the back end stuff where I have a 2-day workshop on communication skills. So it's really about becoming an effective communicator,
Right.
learning how to have a process of even structuring what you're going to say. For example, even me coming in here today, I have a general idea of what we're going to talk about. So, of course, I'm going to prepare before I come in here. I'm not just going to come in here and then you
And
start
wing it.
and wing it. And you
Right.
start talking to me, asking me questions about NASA, and I'm like, I got nothing on that.
Right.
So there's always preparation. If I Sales is a beautiful industry to be in, a beautiful role to have. You can take care of your family if you're doing it the right way. And what I mean by the right way is being an other centered person rather than a self centered person. It's
Sure.
not about what I'm going to get out of it. Is I'm going to ask you discovery questions. I'm going to identify an area where you have a need, and then I'm going to offer something if I have it that aligns with that need to help you. If I don't have something, my goal isn't to say, "Well, we can't work together." My goal is to say, "Well, listen, let me make a couple of phone calls. I have somebody else that may be able to help you. Would you like an introduction?"
And ultimately, you're still leading with helping first,
Yes.
right? And do you work with individuals one on one, or are you primarily team based with the organizations?
Well, so I do work with people one on one, and typically it's for a limited time only. I usually work with companies,
Hmm.
and it doesn't matter if they're small, mid-size, or large. But I like the companies because I can put a roadmap out for, and I don't want to, you do it individually, you're going to charge people a lot more money than,
Well, but you've got such a unique background and unique experiences that I imagine the type of guidance that you probably provide one on one. And it's funny because I had this conversation earlier today. Um, Confidence is a funny thing.
yes,
And the best speaker in front of a crowd of 1,000 is likely sweating through their clothes underneath their jacket,
right,
right? Whereas some other people can step onto that stage and talk to 10,000 people and not shed a drop of sweat.
that's right,
But neither one of them can share that outside of the group of advisors that they have, and I see that as a place where you probably without asking names, can
Right.
provide that type of confidential guidance because nobody wants to be known as the CEO or the VP without confidence.
That's right.
And it's unfortunately going back to the book and its cover, that's an example where we judge entirely harshly if we think that a great leader lacks a core skill.
Yeah.
We will immediately, the company's value will drop, people will lose confidence in it, and it's nothing more than somebody stumbling through a bad speech.
Right. No, yeah.
Uh,
So I have worked with people one-on-one. I guess let me put it to you this way. My bulk of my business comes from organizations, and I do a one-off one-on-ones. But what I found doing that is that my target audience isn't as robust as it is
with a
because
group.
you're still marketing, you're doing all the things to generate business. So it's I guess it's a little bit easier to get business from larger organizations than it is one-on-one.
100%, but what I have found is often in that group, there's
Yes,
someone that your story resonates with,
absolutely.
and we took a long trip. Thank you, for sharing so much of your life to get here,
Yeah,
but ultimately, this is what I wanted to talk about with
yeah,
you, was to better understand who you help and how you help, but I think the journey we took to get here tells everybody why you help.
yeah.
And why talking to you and getting guidance and assistance from H10
Right.
Enterprises is a worthwhile investment of time and resources, because you have an incredible story backing you up.
Yeah,
That's all you.
yeah.
Um, what is your favorite type of organization or organizational role to work within? Is it sales? Is it you seem to have an affinity for
I
it.
do. So first of all, my favorite audience are leaders.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter what industry. They don't even have to be in sales.
Sure.
But what I found with leaders is, and I'm sure you'll agree, is that typically when they have a one-on-one or a power meeting with someone, it's not structured. It's especially if it's sales. They say, "Hey, your numbers are low. I've noticed this for the last couple of meetings we had. You're going to need to bring your numbers up. So let's work on that, and we're going to meet again in next week or 2 weeks." And then that person will leave the room scratching their head, saying, "Hey, man, you're my manager.
Right.
Help me." So, what I love doing with leaders is say, "Hey, listen, let's just peel the onion back. We need to get to know our people. We need to know whether they're independent thinkers. We need to know if they're detractors. We need to know if they're strivers or achievers. And I'm going to allocate my time accordingly." The challenge with most leaders is they spend the bulk of their time with detractors. They spend the bulk of their time with people that are a rub.
Right.
And we try to fix people. And if we have that fixing mode in our head, like, "Hey, I'm going to fix this guy. I'm going to make sure." Well, I'm going to.
80% of your time is fixing the moderate
That's
performer,
right.
while the top performers are floundering because they get no support.
Not only that, they're not feeling the love,
Right.
and so there's an opportunity for them to leave and go somewhere else. And so if you think about someone that has a high will level, but their skill is low, to me, that's where you spend the bulk of your time. Because I can teach you what you don't know. I can't teach you to care.
No, and that's actually a point that I find myself making more and more. Um, we cannot, in a business context, make someone give a crap.
No.
Either they're wired for it or they're not. To your point,
Yeah.
capacity can be taught to some degree, but if you don't get it and you don't want it, there's not really a magic pill that's going to fix that.
No.
And it's time for everybody's benefit for you to find another place to be.
That's that fork in the road conversation.
Yeah.
And so I love working with leaders to get them to understand that their entire existence is to remove barriers to the success of their people, to lift them. Basically, look at yourself as an inverted organizational chart. You're on the bottom and you're holding the weight of the organization on your shoulders. And your job is to help everybody get to where they need to get. And if they can do that, they're going to really think about it as opposed to, well, I need to increase revenue. I need to decrease costs. I need to do this. And doggone it, you better do it, or that's the challenge, right? And you think about EOS and putting those operating systems in place, helping organization function in like a Swiss watch.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to a joke that's so old, the first time I saw it was on a fax machine, that the beatings will continue until the morale improves,
There you go.
right? If all you have to do is yell at them to get them to be productive, you might be thinking about it the wrong way,
That's right.
if that's your only solution. Um,
I
and it seems to me, Kim, that you have found a way to harness all of the raw material that went into forging you
Yes.
and have really beat that into a pretty sharp sword.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds like you love what you do.
I love what I do, and it really boils down to a process. Part of the process is, and it's not brain surgery, right? This is everything that we do is always gonna be about people. AI is fantastic. I use AI.
Sure.
It's fantastic.
Collaborative tool.
There you go. However, it's always gonna be about the people. And so I need to know how to communicate with people. Part of me knowing how to communicate with people is identifying their personality type. Are you super task oriented? Are you relational? I'm going to adapt and adjust my communication style to best suit you if I'm trying to help you. I'm not going to treat everybody the same and be neutral. That's just not how the world works. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to become the other person. But
No, but you learn from them.
of course,
Right.
if I'm talking to someone that's super task oriented, I'm not going to talk about little Jimmy at the soccer tournament.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about the weather. I'm really going to talk about the data, the details, because they care about results over relationships.
Yeah.
If I'm talking to Jim Carrey and all I'm talking about is data,
He doesn't care.
no, he's like, man, don't I get a kiss first?
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure I know who I'm talking to. And as long as I know that, then I can adapt my communication style to benefit them. I can ask amazing discovery questions, open-ended, clarifying, checking questions to make sure I'm getting all the information I need in order to present my information in the very best light. Because a company can have a special and they can do all this other stuff and say, if you sign up with us now, we're going to. Well, I don't need that. Why are you trying to sell me something I don't need? And think about it this way from a customer's point of view. If I just say the word salesperson to people, just that word alone,
Right.
typically they're going to lean towards a negative.
Yep.
And they're leaning towards a negative because of personal experiences. They're leaning to. Have you ever seen a salesperson in a television show or a movie depicted in a positive light?
Not without some considerable thought can I give you anything other than a no.
That's right. And so then you have the news media. Live at 5, we got this pill doctor. Live at 5, we got this mechanic shop. And they're always talking about what someone's doing wrong as
Right.
opposed to what they're doing
Right.
right. And the gift of sales is that your job, your role is to identify a need and fill the need with what you have. If you don't have it, then you find somebody that can fill it, and that's it.
Right. So I want to ask one more question that occurred to me from what you just shared.
Yes.
And I want to ask it in an open way so that I'm not leading you to an answer.
Okay.
Is it okay for a leader not to know what to do?
Yes.
Why?
Because you have other resources. As a leader, I'm not going to know everything. But let me put it to you this way. Just everyone, whoever's listening to this, think about when you started a new role at a company and you went to your first meeting and they were using acronyms. They were saying
The bane of modern existence.
That's right. And they were using acronyms. They were talking about all this other stuff, and everything literally sounded French to you other than, hey, Kim, how you doing?
Right.
And so that is the beginning. However, over time, you're going to get all that knowledge. And people are hired into leadership roles in companies that they have no clue about how the company runs or operates, but they're hired because they're a great sales leader. They're hired because they're a decent human being that can make a difference in an organization. The rest of the stuff, the X's and O's, they can learn. And so the other part of that is you have to rely on other people. If I'm on an operations side, I'm going to make sure I have the tools for the other people to be successful. I don't need to know how to sell anything. I just need to know how you sell it.
Provide the keys to the success
Right, the key is to
rather
just
than trying to be all things to all people.
That's right. I mean, think about how many leaders or people that own companies that they don't have any social skills, but their company is super successful.
Sure.
Well, because they have people in place that can do those things that they have a deficiency at.
I think it was Bill Gates who said that he always hires lazy people because they find the fastest way to get things done. And mind you, his version of lazy people and other version of lazy
That's
people,
right.
probably a pretty big gap.
Big gap.
But the concept's the same, is
Yeah.
you hire the right person, they'll find the right way to get it done.
That's right.
Kim, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
So, best way to get in touch with me, go to my website, kimharrington.com.
And we will share those links.
Please, kimharrington.com, or you can email me at info@h10enterprises.com.
Fantastic.
My telephone number, if they want,
Please.
my telephone number is 813-830-3545. I know a lot of spam calls come from that area code, but it is my number, so I will make sure someone answers that phone.
Fantastic. I can't thank you enough. The time flew by, and it was a great conversation, and you're a fantastic teller of your story, but just stories in general. And I think that's what resonates most with people.
Yeah. Well,
So
thank you.
thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate you, Josh.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So my guest today again has been Kim Harrington. He's a leadership professional, and he's the CEO and founder of H10 Enterprises. And I think, as everybody heard, his perspective on leadership really is about accountability, and that real consequences come from the decisions that are made. We will share all of his links. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your insight. My name is Joshua Kornitsky. I am a professional EOS implementer, and this has been a really amazing version and episode of High Velocity Radio. Thank you so much, Kim. We'll see you guys next time.
Take care.